You're listening to the Woman Who Chat podcast with me, your host, Sandra Garlick. A podcast where I chat to women in business who share their knowledge and top tips, especially for you. I also share my own tips to help you gain visibility fast so that you appear to be everywhere, even when you're not. I'm delighted to bring this podcast to you each week to inspire and motivate you to achieve. Enjoy the podcast. Woman Who Chat is sponsored by Grow Radio. Grow Radio is an online radio station dedicated to bringing you a different podcast on the hour, every hour. I'm proud that Woman Who Chat is played on Grow Radio every Tuesday at 3 p.m. and Friday at 8 a.m. and to be a part of their podcasting community. If you want to listen to the station, explore their shows, check out many of the blogs to improve your podcasting skills, or get your podcast onto Grow Radio, head over to growradio.uk today. Whether you know this, but every month Woman Who has a monthly theme, and I try and pick themes that are relevant in business, themes I can talk about, themes I can write a blog about, themes I can use when I'm speaking on social media, and it really does help me to focus on what I'm talking about each month. It's not to say I'll only talk about that, but it does give me a focus, and so the monthly themes were born. And I even have my monthly networking, which is all about the theme of that month as well. So this month is all about branding and reputation at the time of recording. And I thought it'd be really useful for me to share some of the risks associated with brand and reputation. And they say it takes a lifetime to build a brand or build your reputation, but seconds to destroy. So I thought I'd highlight the risks first and then go on to some of the things you can do to enhance your brand, enhance your reputation, and really gain that visibility for all the right reasons. So there are several risks that can impact your growth and visibility. Inconsistent messaging. I think sometimes we're tempted, and I've done it as well, I hold my hands up here, we can go out and confuse our customers. We can go out with one thing one day, another thing the next day, another thing, and it just is overwhelm. And I think also if we don't have consistency in our brand voice, our visuals and our values, it dilutes our brand identity. So what you see is what you get with me. I tend to be, as I say, totally real, totally authentic, and I am my brand. And that's no doubt, and that follows into Woman Who as well. So I think if you don't get the brand voice right, your customers might struggle to understand who you are and what you stand for, and that leads to a loss of trust and recognition. Let's talk negative publicity. Now, what we all know about reviews, we know about Google reviews, Facebook reviews, Amazon reviews. You get that one-star review. Now, whether it's intentional, whether it's malicious, wherever it comes from, you do have to deal with it. And it can be a PR mishap and go viral in the wrong circumstances. So it's all about dealing with that and thinking about how you're going to deal with that. The immediate reaction is to go back and sort of retaliate. And I think that sometimes can have a negative impact as well. Negative publicity can spread really quickly. And if you get into a battle or a war of words on a negative review or something negative around publicity, it can go in all sorts of directions. I once had a really bad experience many years ago, and I started responding on what was known as Twitter. And I very quickly realized that responding was the wrong thing to do. And I was severely trolled from every direction. And I found the easiest way to deal with it was to block and delete. And yes, it did upset me at the time. Yes, it did have an impact on my reputation. But I think by ignoring it and getting on and moving forward was the best way around it, because people soon forget. And it wasn't anything I'd done. It was just somebody in the media had said something and it drew traffic to me in a negative way. And I hadn't even done anything wrong. So it can happen, but it's minimizing that risk and making sure that your long-term reputation remains intact, because it's really hard to rebuild it if it goes. The next one is poor customer service. And I think if you don't deal with customer complaints, so say if you get that negative review and it's genuine and you don't deal with it and you just ignore a genuine complaint, that doesn't look good. Or if you offer poor service, it can really affect your brand. But if you go and buy something from a supermarket and you have really poor service in that supermarket and the staff are dissatisfied, they don't want to be there and they're rude to you, you vote with your feet, you don't go back there. And sometimes you actually vent publicly about it, you tell other people. So dissatisfied customers share their experiences publicly. They say, oh, I wouldn't go there because... So you really have to be careful. So I think jumping on a complaint or a negative review in a positive way can be better, but take it offline. Don't air out your grievances in the public. Take it offline, address it, phone them up, speak to them, email them, do whatever you have to do, but you don't have to air it publicly. Not evolving with your audience. If you're sticking to outdated branding, outdated ways of doing things, technology has moved forward. We have to move forward with it. We have to adapt to cultural and market shifts. We can appear to be out of touch with reality. So it's embracing change, it's embracing new things and showing our audience that actually we're prepared to move along with them. And I'm a constant innovator. I'm always trying to be ahead with technology, new things, always coming up with new ideas. And I think that shows that I'm not outdated and I'm not afraid to be bold either. So my Woman Who visual branding is all soft colours because it's all around awards, it's all around confidence, it's all around boosting people and creating role models to inspire others. So it's about inspiration, motivation. So they're softer colours. Whereas Sandra Garlick, when she goes out and about, is vibrant, she's bold, she's exciting, she's got energy. It's all about energy and sunshine. So you'll see a lot of reds and yellows and bright colours because they are my ideal colours and I wear my brand. And that does fit alongside Woman Who in every way and everything I do. But it means that I am me. And that is the most important. I am my brand because it is me. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. So your audience, if you're not relevant and you're not up to date, can move on to others and move a lot onto other people, your competitors who are more aligned with the current trends and values. Think about associating with the wrong people. So you can very easily collaborate with people. You can collaborate with anybody. And I'm a big believer in collaborations. But be very careful who you collaborate with because you pick the wrong influencer and that influencer does something which has a negative impact on them, that can affect your brand, that can affect your reputation. So if you partner or align with something that has a negative impact and it goes viral, then that will impact you as well. So you have to be really careful with who you align with, who you partner with. And as I say, a poor choice can really reflect negatively. And then your audience start to question your integrity, your judgment, i.e. why did you partner with them if you knew about that, or why are you associating yourself with that person? So you have to be really careful. And when I partner with people and I collaborate with people, I make sure it's people who I've researched, it's people who I'm aware of, people who I've looked at their brand, I've looked at their reputation, and it's something, and I look at their values. If I align with their values, then that's right for me. And that's how I make my choice who to collaborate with. So associating with the wrong partnerships can have that negative impact. I'm briefly interrupting this podcast. Did you know that speaking is one of the fastest ways to grow your audience? I create opportunities for you to find your story and share it on stage. If you're looking to gain experience as a speaker and deliver a keynote that wows the audience, join the Let's Get Visible Elevate Academy. Right now, you can join for just £25 a month for 12 months, or at a discounted price of £250 for lifetime membership. Yes, you heard that right. You will receive a lifetime of opportunities. Sign up at womanwho.co.uk/academy. Now back to the podcast. over-promising and under-delivering. So I can promise you the world, but if I don't give you the world, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to tell other people. So if you oversell something, if you overbig it up, and I've seen so many people recently that have bought into programs and courses believing that they're getting one thing and it doesn't live up to their expectations. Now, they're probably getting exactly what they paid for, but for some reason, the marketing has hyped it up into something better than it is. So you need to be really careful when you're selling things to make sure you're selling exactly what, and the customer is aware. Now, the biggest risk on this is that customers don't read the small print. So they tend to listen to other people. They tend to listen and go along with the rush and the adrenaline of the purchase and maybe not read that small print. So it's really important to highlight everything they're getting and what they may not get and managing their expectations. So disappointed customers, they won't return. They'll use the word of mouth, i.e. they won't word of mouth refer you for the right reasons. It will be negative and it can damage that trust element in your brand and your reputation. And it's really easy to sell to an existing customer, but the hardest work is gaining new customers. So you want to look after them and you want to cherish them and nurture them and make them feel special. What about inauthentic branding, trying to be something you're not, and I see a lot of people do this actually, they try and they see somebody and they're in their sort of aura and they try and be that person and they start using that person's words and language and terminology. They start dressing like them and it's almost like a cult following. And then they start using that branding and over polishing it and over edging it, and it just doesn't sit naturally with them. And the audience just gets confused and it just thinks, what's going on here? Audiences value authenticity. So my biggest advice here is just be you. You don't have to be anybody else. People buy people they know, like, and trust. They're buying you because of you, not something you're trying to create or be or copy or anything like that. So be genuine because that will gain trust and it will gain brand loyalty. Ignoring feedback. Dismissing or ignoring customer feedback is a bit like the negative review thing. So you have to look at your feedback. It's great to put on an event or a training course and get masses of positive feedback and be able to share that in testimonials. But what happens when you get something negative? What happens when somebody, it doesn't quite feel they've got what they wanted out of something, or they give you a negative review? And I think you need to hear them. You need to listen. And I do listen to feedback and I do take it on board. I removed the categories from my awards simply because of feedback that I'd had, that people felt they were shoehorning themselves into a category where they didn't belong, but they merely wanted to enter the awards. So I removed the categories. It was a simple thing to do, maybe not so simple administratively for me, but it's a simple thing to do. It was listening to my customer feedback and realizing that I could do it in a different way. So don't miss those opportunities to listen to that feedback and refine your offers. Customers don't like to feel unheard and and you don't want them to feel frustrated and walk away, basically. Cultural insensitivity or not listening to your audience. And that's about sharing stuff maybe on social media that completely ignores cultural differences or disabilities, hidden disabilities, or just basically putting your voice across without taking other things into account. And when I post something on social media, I try and be, well, I'm not going to say politically correct, because you don't have to be politically correct. You can have your own personal views, you can shout out for what you stand for, but you do have to be sensitive to those around you. And I sometimes see posts that people put out and it grates me and it makes me feel as if I'm not being heard, but I don't necessarily comment all the time. If I've got a view, I will state it and I will back it up with my evidence. But likewise, if somebody posts on my socials and I've misheard or read something, I will look at that and I will acknowledge it and I'll say, I didn't think about that. Thank you for highlighting that. So it's being really aware of what's happening around you. A great risk, and one of the biggest ones I think right now, is an over-reliance on social media. It's a powerful tool. There are billions and billions of posts every single day. But if you rely on that, on your sole visibility branding, you're going to come up unstuck. Yes, online businesses are thriving right now, but there are other visibility channels you can use as well as social media, even if you're an online business. And if you want to talk to me about that, please ask, because there are so many ways that you can gain visibility online, which doesn't involve social media. If you put all your eggs in one basket, if the algorithms change or your favorite social media platform goes down for any reason, which Facebook did quite recently, the impact is you've got nothing. If your social media strategy stops working, or the algorithms change, or the platforms change their policies, or they close down for some reason. I mean, look what's happened to Twitter and X. People have left that in their droves. If you solely relied on that as your main channel for communication and visibility, that's going to hurt your brand reach. That's going to minimize your impact and what you're trying to do. Let's talk about copycat branding. As I've said, trying to be somebody else isn't a clever thing to do, but actually copying somebody's branding too closely can make your brand appear unoriginal and reduces your ability to stand out and be visible. But not only that, other people see it and they think, well, actually, aren't they just copying X or Y? And customers value uniqueness. They buy into the people behind the product or service, but they also buy into the brand. And if they see something that's too similar, they're going to struggle to gain loyalty. And legal issues can arise as well over copycat branding, over intellectual property, but also it doesn't do you any favors, and it can lead to really negative reviews and negativity in the marketplace. So do be careful when you're setting up and when you're going out there with your brand that you don't copy somebody else's. You can be inspired by somebody else's branding. It can give you ideas. You might have something that's similar, but it's when you're using the same wording. And in my case, somebody literally lifted the content from my website and put it onto theirs, typo and all. So you do need to be careful what you're going to put out there. I think being ethical in business is really important as well. So whether that's how you treat your customers, where you get your products from, where you source your raw materials, whether you consider the environmental impact, sustainability. If you're trying to do your bit, now a lot of online businesses, they struggle with sustainability. How can I be sustainable? I work from home, my business is online, but there's other ways you can be sustainable in your life and the things that you do and what you share. So it's about being ethical, not only in your values and what you do in your business practices, but actually being socially responsible. So it's just being aware, really, of how much, and I didn't think I could be sustainable, but simple things such as buying an electric car, minimizing my use of certain products, all those sorts of things, little things, but they all make a difference. And I think the last one I want to share with you is brand fatigue. If we're constantly going out there saying, buy my stuff, and just pushing promotional content and overexposure all the time, the audience just go to sleep, they just switch off, and they just become tired of your brand. Now, there are clever ways to be seen or appear to be seen everywhere, even when you're not, and getting your brand out there. And people are saying to me at the moment, gosh, you're everywhere. I've seen this on socials. I've seen that. I don't post every day on socials. I don't, but some of my posts get reinvigorated, and I'm just very strategic. I've got a very clear visibility strategy and how that works, and it's working for me. But brand fatigue can lead to disengagement, and your customers simply switch off or tune out, and they look for fresh alternatives. They get bored. I say quite often, I say this about myself, I've got the attention span of a gnat. And if I get bored reading long things and seeing the same thing every day, but just said in a different way, then I do switch off and go and look for something else that inspires me or motivates me or piques my curiosity. So I wanted to highlight some of those risks around branding and reputation and some of the things you might want to address. What I am going to do is I'm going to do another episode all about how you can boost your branding and reputation and give you some top tips on how you can grow your business and gain visibility by incorporating these tips on your branding and reputation going forward. So I hope you found that really useful. I'd love to hear your views. And until next week, I'll see you all or hear you all or speak to you all very soon. Take care. Thank you for listening to the Woman Who Chat podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning and top tips. In the meantime, visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your Woman Who journey or even feature on a future podcast. You can also join the Woman Who Achieves community on Facebook. The link is in the show notes. There, you'll get the opportunity to network, find support and make new connections with over 1,000 women in business. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast. And if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garlick.